After weeks of volatility, the market takes a breather and trades sideways. Where do we go from here? This is Invest with Jacob. Okay guys, so in yesterday's video we talked about the fact that we're entering a zone where we're looking for a pullback in the market, and while they tried to pull back yesterday, they ultimately couldn't break through support and traded sideways for most of the day. Now the question is, where do we go from here? I'll get into that in just 1 second, but first, if you're new here, welcome to the show, guys. My name is Jacob Gabbard, and this is Invest with Jacob, where we use Elliott Wave Theory to break down the SP500 and the NASDAQ. I highly encourage you to hit that subscribe button down below so that you can get our daily S&P updates, our trade setups, and our buy alerts. All right, guys, even though they did trade sideways yesterday, we had 2 day trade winners, both of them fairly small, I think a 25% and a 20% winner. So overall, another good day in the room. If you want to be part of this winning team, stay tuned for later in the video. But for now, let's jump into the chart and take a look. Okay, guys, so here we are on the 1-hour futures chart for the S&P 500. We're zoomed in a little bit on the structure to the upside. And overall, we're still entering this blue box I talked about in yesterday's video. It does create a big resistance box, especially if you zoom out a little bit, all the way up to this 4430 area. So if you zoom back, you can see that you have this high here, you have this low that comes right into that box where it was a rejection point. You also have this low over here, which was a rejection point, and then the rejection point here that they had to consolidate here before breaking through, came back, back tested this area, and then moved higher. So this area is strong resistance. So we would expect the market to pull back out of this area. If they drive directly through it, that does favor the bulls a little bit, as they do need a higher A wave up. But it doesn't mean that we are in a bullish count just yet. Remember, the pullback is what tells the story. So as we move up here, what we'd like to see, a better ending pattern, would be a kind of a 4-5, where we get a pullback into this 4300 area and then one more high and then down. But we may not get that exactly. We could just get the B wave pullback, which would be a little bit deeper in an ABC. And then we would expect a higher move from there, and that would be to be determined on whether that's going to be wave 2 or potentially the wave A of a bullish count, which, if you're confused about that, you can check out yesterday's video. I do a big picture analysis and go over that in depth. So we could be getting that B wave, and ultimately we are high enough for this to be a wave 2. We're just under the 50% at 4402, so tagging that before they start to the downside would be a little bit better, but they're playing high enough for a wave 2. So if we do see a clean 5-wave pattern to the downside that comes back down and tests this low, that would be a strong indication we are in the C wave to the downside and ready to follow through with that move down towards 3,000 or so on the S&P 500. So again, the pullback tells the story in its structure. If the pullback is an overlapping ABC type structure, we would expect at least one more high. And that one more high could be the end of this wave 2 and then down. Or, as I said before, it could be the A wave of A, and then you get a B and C up for a bigger A leg, and then a BC up toward 4,900, which would be new all-time highs, before we see a fall down from that point. So in the short term, the pullback is what's important. So wherever we pull back from, if we go up a little higher than this, that's okay. It doesn't matter. Wherever we pull back from, the pullback is what's important. If it's 3 waves, you should be looking higher. If it's 5 waves, we should be looking for a bounce and then much lower after that. So pretty clear on the ES. Once we do start a reasonable pullback, we'll have to see the structure that it takes. And from there, we can make an assessment on the overall pattern. Over on the NASDAQ, okay, on the NASDAQ, same type of situation. They tried to pull back a little bit here, weren't able to follow through. We would want to see them pull back. Breaking 14,991 would be a strong indication of a pullback. If they're going to pull back in a wave 3, or I'm sorry, in a wave 4, where we get kind of a 4-5, we'd be looking for this 14,828 and then up area to give us 4 and 5. And then you would want to see a pretty direct decline on the NASDAQ, as we are entering an area where this move up needs to end for the bear count. So as they continue higher here, we would look for them to hold the 15,300 area. We'll give them all the way up to 15,450, but I won't be very on board with them once they get up here until they prove it. Once they get this high, you're getting too deep into wave 1 territory, too close to the high of 2. It's not ideal for a diagonal to play out that way. So once they get up here, it is possible they can still continue the downside pattern, but I would want them to prove it with a break of the low, and then it's going to be an ABC as it is a diagonal into that 13.6 area. If we can get that, then we'll say, hey, we've completed wave 1 on the NASDAQ, and we're looking much lower in the bigger picture that I outlined in yesterday, or in Monday's video, I should say. So overall, all of the paths are still available. Nothing really happened to change that today. NASDAQ, you don't get the benefit of seeing the pullback to tell the story, because it's either going to be corrective and then higher, or corrective and lower, because if you remember, we are in a diagonal, which means every wave is an ABC. So you'd have this A wave here, and then a B, and then a C down, and it would look exactly the same if we're going to go higher. So you don't get the benefit of the pullback telling the story on the NASDAQ, which is why ES's pullback will be so important. And again, a 5-wave structure on the ES to the downside is bearish. A 3-wave structure to the downside would be bullish. Guys, if you love the information that I put out in these videos and you want real-time market updates from me, you need to check out investwithjacob.com. There's a link down in the description. Go ahead and click that link. It'll take you right over to the webpage. Once you're there, check out our membership plans area. We have 2 incredible monthly plans that both come with a 7-day free trial, because I want you to get in there, become part of our trading team, make sure you love the environment, how we trade, what we're doing, and make sure it's for you before you ever spend a penny. You can cancel at any time. We also have our Elliott Wave for Beginners online course. This course is helping real traders make real money and finally understand the market in a way that makes sense. If you watched Jerome Powell's speech last week, he was very hawkish and the market rocketed higher. So now bad news makes the market go up, and good news makes the market go down? That seems confusing. It's not confusing. We were long before Jerome's press conference, because we understood the key levels and what the setup was, and the setup was for higher regardless of what he said, because news is noise. Guys, if you want to understand the market in a way where you can trade it and confidently know when to get in and out of your trades, Elliott Wave is for you, and this course is for you. The really cool part is it's 25 videos where I go through 3 sections. First being the introduction, where we go through your mindset, the emotion of it, how to understand the KISS method with Elliott Wave and why it works. Guys, it's important to understand why something works. It's not just made up. It's not just somebody throwing waves on there. There's a lot of technical analysis behind Elliott Wave, and it's very powerful. The chart setup and tools, I think, is one of the more important areas. It tells you every tool that you need on your chart, how to use it with Elliott Wave, and why they're important. It's how we identified the bottom a couple Fridays ago and traded the whole move up. We also have our Elliott Wave for Beginners area, and this is where I go through each wave, how it works, what its confirmation points are, what its failure points are, and what you're looking for. We go through the theory of alternation, the corrective depth theory, the pivot, everything you want to know about Elliott Wave theory in a beginner's format so that you can understand the market in a way that makes sense. The awesome thing is, if you don't want to pay the $67, I understand, but it is included for free in both monthly rooms. So if you become a monthly member, you automatically get the course for free. In my first room, the Invest with Jacob room, you get all of my real-time market updates, all of my buy and sell alerts, all of your Elliott Wave questions answered, a midday video where I go over exactly where we are in the counts and what to expect, as well as the training material you just saw. We trade the SPY and the QQQ, and we swing and day trade, which means we trade quite often. But if you are looking for individual stocks, futures trading, and advanced training, you need to check out PT's Throne Room. In there, you get everything you get in the Invest with Jacob room, as well as individual stocks, day trading, futures trading, and PT's reduced risk binary method that absolutely crushes the market. He gets you in at a cheap price and gets you huge multiples on your money, and it's how he structures the trades that are so unique. It's really something you have to see to understand, and that's another reason we give you that 7-day free trial. He also started a challenge account where he put $4,000 into an account trading mini ES futures, showing you how to build a small account into a large retirement or savings account. Guys, we would love to have you in these rooms so we can all make money together. All right, key takeaways for today. We are still looking for that downturn out of this blue box. We would be looking for the downturn to tell the story. If it's a 3-wave move, we would look for more movement higher. If it's a 5-wave move, okay, and if it's a 5-wave move, we would look for lower after a bounce and then down. So the pullback on the ES will definitely tell the story. That's what we're going to be looking for when it does roll over and start to pull back. Is it going to give us a corrective move where we're looking higher, or this 5-wave type structure to help us look lower? Over on the NASDAQ, still looking for them to hold that 15,300 area and turn down, but they are getting into the critical zone here. They are at 15,220 as of right now. And that 15,450 area is really kind of the max of where we can let them go. And even then, I won't be very confident that that's going to play out to the downside. So the bears need to step in soon on the NASDAQ. And you don't really have the benefit of the doubt on the pullback because it's going to be corrective regardless of which way we're going. So the ES pullback is the key to watch. Guys, that is your market update for today. I will talk to you tomorrow.